Everybody, my name is Jenny. You found Reality TV Breakdown, and today I'm breaking down The Traitors, Season 2, Episode 10, The Weight of Deceit. Let's talk about it.
Welcome to my castle. It's this world of bloodshed. I am your humble narrator. So step inside, stay a while in the company of the traitor.
All right, so I've got all my notes here that I took. I don't have a whole lot. I don't know if it's just a lot of stuff was slightly predictable, maybe, in this episode, but we'll see how it goes. I may end up talking just as much as the other ones. I have written down, and I do recall, that when I watched it, my stomach was in knots. I turned it on. I almost forgot what happened last week. You know, a whole week went by and I was doing things. I'm like, oh, I need to watch Traitors. It was on last night. I was busy last night doing a live cast. So I watched it this morning and took notes. And as soon as it started and it did the recap, I was like, oh, and my stomach got knots. I'm like, oh, is Phaedra going or is Peter going? Is Phaedra going or is Peter going? So here's how it goes. It was down to the final vote, which was MJ. MJ appeared during the episode to be flailing a little bit and to be considering the idea that Phaedra is a traitor. But when push came to shove, MJ voted for Peter. Yes. I was so happy. I felt like, okay, anything can happen in the show. And then I thought, oh no, Trichelle's still there. Still gotta get rid of her. That's all right. They're gonna go back to the turret and they're gonna vote out Trishelle. And then I can relax and just sit back and crack open a beer and enjoy the rest of the episodes. So, Peter's gone. He, of course, says he's a faithful. Everyone's like, oh. Peter's goodbye speech, not like Dan's and the others. He blamed the group. He was sad that he was getting voted out. He blamed the group. You know, the other people kind of were like, this was fun. Good luck to everybody. And not Peter. He says, I tried to save you all.
I'm a faithful till the end. I tried to save you guys. So, take care.
I tried to be God. You just wouldn't let me. I guess you're not God, Peter. Bye-bye. So we go back to the round table and people are like, ooh, I don't know. Of course, everyone's now thinking, well, it's got to be Phaedra now. And Trishelle comes out. We tried to tell you guys. Oh, she's so annoying.
I think there's nothing that can be said right now.
Say
We tried to tell you guys.
And so arrogant. And I just wrote on my notes, please vote her out. Get rid of her. Gosh, I don't want to see her face anymore. At this point in the episode, I'm glad I take notes. I've written that MJ is very sad that she voted out of Faithful, but she still doesn't believe that Phaedra is a traitor. Can you believe it? Yeah. Which is good. CT completely believes Phaedra is a traitor. Loves her to death, but believes she's a traitor. When talking with Sheree in her talking head, she doesn't believe Phaedra's a traitor, but she also does think Phaedra's not doing a very good job at defending herself. And so it kind of throws up some questions in her mind, and she doesn't know why she's not defending herself as she should be. So now we cut to the turret where they have to make their decision. Kate and Phaedra are in there trying to decide what's going down. Kate basically says, listen, this is on you, Phaedra. You can murder whoever you want because the whole house is gunning for you. They want you out. They're probably going to vote for you unless we do some fancy dancing. So you decide. So it comes down to either John or Trishelle that are going to go. She said CT pretty much was a traitor. He's been on her side this whole time, but she kind of dismissed him. She wants to get rid of part of that original Faithful Five alliance. And I'm thinking, well, this is easy. Get rid of Trishelle. She's the loudmouth going around to everybody. John, he's cute. I mean, I get that he's a politician and at the round table goes on and on, is very eloquent and tries to slice you verbally with his tongue. But I still think Trishelle is worse. So to me, it's a no-brainer. So they make their decision. This is the 7th murder. And Ellen announces that it's the penultimate episode. And the penultimate is always the second to the last. So, second to the last. Well, actually, he said it was the penultimate night in the castle. So I don't know how many more episodes there are. But it's their second to the last night. So basically, this is it. And as the episode goes on, you could tell that I never saw season 1 or any other season in the UK where the show is as well, in Australia. So I don't know what happens next. There's something about coming down that the traitor can maybe pick somebody and then maybe they vote between the two of them. I'm not really sure, to be honest with you. But if Phaedra were to make it to the end, she would pick Sheree. So knowing that, if I were faithful and I thought it were Phaedra, I would want to get rid of Phaedra because I wouldn't have a chance of getting chosen. I might be misspeaking here. This might not at all be how it goes down. I'm just trying to put 2 and 2 together from the conversations that were had throughout the episode. So we get to the usual breakfast. Everyone's coming down to breakfast. And I wrote down here that at breakfast, Phaedra is not doing a good job of acting like a faithful. Oh, it's so disappointing. I just wrote on here, at this point, let's just let Kate win. I was so frustrated with Phaedra for just like being aloof and everything. She doesn't try to talk strategy to people. She doesn't throw out any potential names. She doesn't try to find, like, everybody's going to do something weird when they're in the castle. So just say, you know what? So-and-so did something weird the other day. I noticed he came out of this room and went into this room. And it obviously isn't going to be anything or a big deal at all. But those are the kind of things you have to do to plant ideas and doubts in other people's minds and get it off of you. And also to look like a faithful, because the traitor doesn't care. Well, that's not true. The traitor should care. Dan didn't seem to care, and Phaedra didn't seem to care. I don't know why. At the round table, they can get voted out, as Dan did. And looks like Phaedra's making her bed for that to happen as well. We'll see what happens. All right. So everyone comes down. I wrote here, Phaedra's starting to play the game like Dan. She's turning into very much a Dan, which is sad because, that was Dan's demise. Not talking strategy with anyone, being quiet, not sharing anything, and Phaedra's doing exactly that now. At least as the cameras are showing us. But it does seem that way. According to Sheree, she's not defending herself at all. So everybody comes down to breakfast and Trishelle survives.
Really?
Really? Yay. Another episode of watching Trishelle. Oh, bliss. Oh, joy. I'm like, no, Phaedra, why? No. Why, Phaedra? Back in the turret, they do flashbacks and they show how both Kate and Phaedra are over John's talking. They said they've used up his words. And they're tired of him talking. I don't see him talking to anybody. I just see him listening whenever he's in these groups, which he said is also a strategy of his. So I don't know, unless they're just referring to the round table, but I know that's the place to do it. It's like his platform, like he's in Parliament. So I don't know. I just feel like he really came at Phaedra hard at the last round table, and I think she plays with her emotions too much, and so she wanted to get rid of him for that reason. She should get rid of Trishelle, I think. Maybe I'm wrong, but that's my impression. Maybe it's just because I don't like her. Maybe I'm not thinking straight myself, and I'm discussing this with my emotions, but we'll see how it all turns out in the end. In a flashback to the turret, we show Kate telling Phaedra that she thinks she has the best chance at the round table getting through the next round table without John there. So Kate was pushing Phaedra also to make the decision to go with voting out John. I think she led her astray, personally. So they're finishing up breakfast, and Kate's like, okay, so how many traitors do you guys think are left? And I just wrote, perfect question. This is something a faithful would say. All right, so do we think there's just one? Is there only one left? Or do we think there's more than one? What's going on? How many traitors do we all think is there? And people are kind of throwing out ideas. Most people said they thought there were 2 traitors left, and somebody said 3. At this point, MJ, I believe this was in her talking head, MJ said the Bravo girls are all loyal to each other. She said, but Kate and Sheree are going to have to vote for Phaedra at this next round table. So, in the end, the Bravo girls were loyal to each other. Remember, I was making fun of Trishelle because she kept saying they're all going to vote together. But we saw nothing that said we're going to band together. Not like Peter and his Peter Pan pals. They were so blatantly, we are a clique of 5, and nobody else is invited. It's not that way at all with the Bravo girls. But maybe as it got down to the end, too, they decided let's band together. I don't know. We never saw it. They never showed that until this moment when MJ said the Bravo girls are loyal to each other, but Kate and Sheree are going to have to vote out Phaedra. Now, actually, this was in a conversation. I just can't picture where it is. I don't think this is when they were outside. Maybe it is when they were outside. Because they were outside talking, and at one point there was Phaedra and Sandra went out to a big chess, one of those big chess games outside with the really tall pieces that you pick up and move around. So the 2 of them were playing chess out there, and then Kate, Sheree, and Sandra were together, and they were just like sitting on this little half wall or railing-ish kind of area, and they were just chatting with each other. So this might be the actual place that this happened. I just felt this was later in the episode, but again, I don't have a whole lot of notes, so we are moving along pretty quickly here. Although we haven't gotten to the challenge yet, but at any rate, MJ says, okay, we have to vote out Phaedra. Kate says, it could be Sandra. And MJ and her talking heads like, Sandra? She wasn't on my radar at all. What have I been missing? I don't know. So Kate makes a compelling argument for how Sandra doesn't really throw out too many names and she's pretty quiet and flying under the radar. And MJ buys it. MJ's like, oh, I can see that. I could see that. And she's like, well, maybe if we really do think it's Phaedra, we keep that in our back pocket because we have 2 more round tables. We want the one that we know is going to definitely be a traitor at the end. So we take a stab at somebody else in the one before that one to get out the other traitor. I don't know if I agree with that philosophy. It seems to make the most sense. Just get the one out that you know that is a traitor. So I don't know if I would buy that, but I appreciate Kate trying using this philosophy. We'll see. Inside the castle, we have Trishelle and CT talking, and they're basically like, well, one of the 2 of us is probably going. Trisha was like, I have none of my friends left, just you, and you weren't part of our original alliance. She didn't say it like that, but that's essentially what she said, because she's kind of all about her. And she says, I just can't believe people wouldn't listen to me 2 banishments ago. Because you're whiny, because you're annoying, because people probably block out what you say. I know I do. So at this point, Trishelle is like, well, it's probably my last day in the castle anyway, so I'm just going to go call out the girls. I don't know if that's a great strategy, but yeah, you go call them out. We'll see how that works for you. So Trishelle goes outside. Wait for it. You're not going to believe what she says. She walks up to the 3 girls that are just, 2 of them are sitting, maybe 1 or 2 of them are sitting on this ledge and one standing there just in the open area talking. And probably, I don't know, 20, 30 yards away is the big chess thing, and that's where Sandra and Phaedra are. Everyone's just outside hanging out, right? What does Trishelle say? This is what Trishelle says. Hi, can I join your exclusive group? Your exclusive group, right. All these ladies just hanging out outside.
Hey, can I join the exclusive group?
What? Yeah, of course.
This is an exclusive group? As opposed to you behind closed doors, huddled together with the same 5 people, talking strategy under your breath quietly, and when somebody comes in, telling them, you need to leave You can't come here. We're talking about something. You can't hear it. That would be an exclusive group, Trishelle. These are women hanging outside. Kate's like, yeah, whatever. Come on. They weren't talking about Trishelle anyway, so they didn't care if she was there. Ugh, she's so annoying.
She repulses me.
But she goes on. Then she says, are you guys ready to talk logic or reason or...
Are you guys ready to talk logic and reason, or? Okay.
And that's all she says. She kind of stops and she's like, are you ready? Like, are you ready to start talking logic or reason? You idiots, you stupids. Well, if they're that stupid, look how many of them are left and how many of your group is left. So, mic drop, Trishelle. Boom. And I love it. Kate just looks at her and goes, are you okay? That's great. And of course she goes, no, I'm actually not, in her normal overdramatic way. I'm so over her. Oh, I'm so over her.
Okay. Are you okay? No, I'm actually not. Okay.
So she just says she wants them to make sure that they're being open. And MJ shares, listen, if you ever said something and we didn't follow it, it's not because we intentionally were doing it. We weren't ever intentionally just trying to save friends. We honestly made a mistake by voting out Peter. We thought he was a traitor, and we didn't think Phaedra was, so voting out Peter was a mistake. And she's like, oh, okay. And they give hugs to everybody. Annoying. Let's get to the challenge. All right, for the challenge, you're starting off with $129,750 in the pot. On this challenge, they can earn up to $30,000. This is how it worked. They had these gold nuggets. Each gold nugget was worth $150. There were a whole bunch of them, all buried in this big dirt pile. So they had to dig through the dirt pile to get the gold nuggets. Then they had to get them into the scale. There was like a weight that said 30,000 at one end and then a scale at the other. So they had to put them in the scale. But where's the scale? Those floating pontoons that were on challenge, I think on episode 1, they were out in the lake again. You had to run across all of them or walk, whatever, and then jump from one to the next to get all the way to the other side where this scale was. Put them on there and then make your way back on the other route. Simple enough, right? Also, in that pile of dirt was a shield. So, all I kept thinking was, please do not let Trishelle, I don't care who gets it, just not Trishelle, not Trishelle, not Trishelle, not Trishelle. Please, I want her voted out. So, they start digging, they find gold, they start trying to run across it. Phaedra does not do well, she wipes out. And of course she hit her chest on the edge of the one platform too. That couldn't have, I never saw her attempt it again.
There you go. Well done.
Go for it, girl.
You got it, girl. You got this.
She's onto the second pontoon. This is a miracle.
Good job, Phaedra.
Okay, shit.
You got it, girl. You got this.
Come on, Phaedra.
Yeah!
Oh my God. Yes, Phaedra.
Yeah, you got it!
Bravo, Phaedra. Valiant effort.
A couple people I never saw attempt it, but it looked like everybody's hair was wet. They were not being successful. Everybody. Trishelle's hair was wet. They weren't showing everybody falling in. They only showed, they kept showing Phaedra and MJ. Who else? They tended to show a couple of the people, just Sandra, sort of over and over again. Ellen says about Sandra when she wiped out, not a survivor anymore. He always has these quippy little lines that are cute. So they're not doing well. They're not getting across. I don't know how many times they attempted. And then all of a sudden, who was the first one to do it? I think it was Trishelle. I think Trishelle figured out how to get across. And the key was, we thought Kate was going to be the one to do it. Let me backtrack for a second. Kate was the one that first looked like she was going to do it. And Kate said she was raised to be a surfer. Perfect balance on the water, on a board. These are big square planks. But she eventually fell in. Eventually, Trishelle makes it across, and she said the strategy is to just run across them really quick because your weight is lighter and they don't tend to wobble as much. They tend to stay more stable. And then CT makes it across. He has a handful of gold nuggets, so they're doing pretty well. Now, during this time, at one point when they're all digging together, they show Trishelle almost getting the shield, but right before she finds it, MJ finds it.
Okay, where's the shield?
I found the shield, you guys.
Good job.
Good job.
MJ finds the shield. According to Trishelle, it was right next to her. If she would have been like just a little bit over digging, she would have found the shield. So I was all thrilled that MJ found it. But MJ has to make it across all the floating platforms to get it into this box at the other end. Whoever puts it in the box gets the shield, so she can't give it to somebody else to do it for her. She's not being very successful getting across the platforms. So it's just a bunch of them trying, and I just thought of it as like Benny Hill music playing in the background as they were doing this. But then Trishelle and CT basically were alternating, taking a bunch of turns, having handfuls of gold nuggets in their hands as they're doing it. They got it down, so they were the ones that just kept doing it until they got to the very end of time. And right before the bell rang again, producers might be a little generous to people. With 1 minute to go, only a minute left, we never see MJ make it across there. Maybe she did, and they never showed it, but we never saw MJ make it. She manages to get across all the platforms over to the side, and there was like 5 seconds left when she was on the last platform having to jump over to the one that had the scale. I mean, again, down to the wire. Yeah, I don't know if I believe it. Anyway, she did make it across, and she got the shield in the little container it needed to go into, so she now has immunity. They ended up banking over $28,000, so most of the nuggets they got into the thing, and their pot right now is $158,100. We cut back to the castle later in the day, and we have CT, Kate, and MJ outside talking. So they're talking strategy. This is where Kate's trying to convince MJ and CT also. I think it's in our best interest if we go for Sandra. I think she's a traitor too. Let's get her out this time and then take out Phaedra next time. It's scary. She's putting her neck out on the line by suggesting that, because why wouldn't you just want to get the actual traitor? I mean, it kind of makes Kate look like she's a traitor defending another traitor. So I think it was a gamble for her to do that. So they're sitting there and she's getting all animated, and inside through the windows watching while they're eating dinner is Trishelle, Sheree, and Sandra. And they're like, look at them out there. Kate's like going on and on and on, and Sandra, and of course they're talking about Sandra because Kate's trying to convince everyone to vote for Sandra. And Sandra's like, I'm going to go out there and see what's going on, and if they get quiet, then I'll know something's up. She goes outside. Kate did a very good job of not just getting quiet. Of course, the other two just got quiet, but Kate's like, oh, I'm so glad you're here. Come here, Sandra. We were thinking about maybe voting somebody else out tonight, because then we have in our back pocket a guarantee if we really all think that it's Phaedra. And she's like, all right, well, who's the other person we would vote for? Crickets.
And who is that?
If I had to choose from everybody sitting across from me at the dinner table, I can't think of anyone. It's hard. It's really hard.
It's getting tough.
It's really hard.
The editing was good. I'm sure that they threw out names or, but in the end, they just kind of went, I don't know. So I don't know if Sandra thought they were talking about her in the end or how that all went down, but that was all they showed on television. Later on, Sheree takes Phaedra to one of the rooms in the castle and sits her down. Now, Sheree and Phaedra have been friends for over 30 years. And Sheree has 100% believed that Phaedra is a faithful, because Phaedra's been saying she's a faithful, obviously. I mean, but that's the game. But Sheree is still hook, line, and sinker believing it. Sheree says to Phaedra, listen, this is getting difficult. Your name is the name that's floated out there. Everybody's talking about you. Give me something. Give me some reason that you're not, or who else we should vote for in that. And Phaedra's not coming up with anything. And then Sheree says, honestly, Phaedra, look me in the eye. Are you a traitor? Cut to commercial. So Phaedra, in her talking head, said, my relationship with Sheree is far more important than this game. So we think that she's going to fess up and tell her, but she doesn't. She goes, no, I am a faithful. And Sheree says, okay. So now we're at the round table. And not a whole lot of discussion went on at the round table. It pretty much was decided ahead of time. Everybody's going to be voting for Phaedra. There was nothing that could be done. Kate said in her interview, listen, I have been defending Phaedra and defending Phaedra and defending Phaedra, and she is not putting anybody else's head on the chopping block. She's not helping me out here. I can't do anymore. Like, I'm going to have to write her name down too, because that's what everyone else is writing down. Understandably. So we know pretty much there this is what's going to happen. So Sheree, in a last-ditch effort to try to have Phaedra really defend herself and throw somebody else out there with some great evidence or something along that line, Sheree says to Phaedra, come on, Phaedra, give us something. And Phaedra just says, I am tired. She goes, there comes a point where I just can't fight anymore. You can tell at this point it really is starting to weigh on Phaedra. It looks like it's no longer fun for Phaedra. They're on to her. She doesn't like it. I think she just wants to throw in the towel. I'm surprised she didn't just tell Sheree, yeah, I'm a traitor. But I guess she thought maybe she had another chance at this round table. You know, she survived the last at least 2, if not 3, where her name was brought up. And then we get to the voting. There's Phaedra and 6 more people to vote. Phaedra, she voted for CT because he was the only man there. Sheree votes for Phaedra and gives a really nice speech and talk, is emotional, is teary-eyed, says she loves Phaedra. She just can't see it any other way. It just seems like all signs are pointing to her, and so she had no other choice. It was really nice. The next person was Kate. Kate probably is now wishing she went last because Kate took a different approach. She was kind of rude and threw Phaedra under the bus, which now in hindsight, well, not even hindsight, but after just one more person, you started to realize, yeah, this is kind of standing out like a sore thumb. Why did she react so differently? Why was she so worked up? She said that Phaedra was more selfish than skillful in this game, which I thought was an interesting thing to say because I don't understand that. How was she more selfish than skillful? Like, when she was in the turret, maybe she always said, this is who I want out because they're coming against me. This is who I want out because they're coming against me. And she didn't think of it in strategy other than eliminate the person that doesn't like me. And so that was her selfish angle. That could be. But Kate can't mention that because she's not supposed to know what Phaedra's saying or in the turret. So it was an interesting thing to say, and she didn't justify it. And Phaedra even goes, more selfish? And she goes, yeah, more selfish than skillful. Which is interesting. She didn't say, you are selfish. It was nicer than that. She just said she is being more selfish than she's being skillful. But it was rude and kind of curt, as Kate can sometimes be. And I didn't like it. Kind of felt like unnecessary. The next person was MJ, who voted for Phaedra and, just said, I don't see another option, but you're the beauty queen of the castle. And I'm just really sweet things to say. We have Sandra next, and Sandra basically said, I like you, we've been in this together, but I have to now stop playing with my heart and play with my head, which was also another kind thing. Like, if I was playing with my heart, you would stay, but I have to play with my head. So, again, another kind thing somebody said. Then we had Trishelle. I was like, oh God, here we go. But she was nice. So I have to say it. I still don't like her, but she was nice, and I appreciated that. At the round table, I liked Trishelle more than I liked Kate. I can't remember what she said at first, but she kind of ended it with, you're going to be leaving this game with your head held high because you did a great job as a traitor. And CT was the last one to vote, and they all voted for Phaedra. And CT was so sweet. He said, you came into this game and you played it the opposite of who you are in real life. Just such a compliment. You are not a traitor, and you're not deceptive, and you're not a liar. And so it was a really nice thing to say. And he said, you are the best traitor we've seen yet. So that was nice. So Phaedra gets up there and she says, I am a forever faithful. And they were like, traitor. Kind of like getting them all like worked up. Poor Sheree was like, no, yeah, you are. Like she was all mixed up. Her emotions were all over the place. But Phaedra smiles and she wishes him good luck and she says goodbye, as you should be when you're voted out. Peter could take a page out of her book and learn how to be courteous and graceful upon not winning. Peter's probably the worst to play board games with. You can't be a graceful loser ever. Can't see it. So in the talking head at the end, Phaedra says how much fun she had, what a great game it was, how wonderful all the players were, and now she's ready for a spa day. Doesn't surprise me. We see in another side room Sandra sitting down with Kate and saying, Kate, what did you mean? Like now Kate has to defend this crazy thing that she said. What did you mean that she's more selfish than skillful? And Kate kind of bumbles over her words at first and then basically says, well, I'm like I'm believing all of you as you're saying she's the traitor. So as the traitor, I'm looking back at all the people that were killed and trying to figure it out. And it looks like the people that were killed were done so selfishly on her part. Not that I was there in the turret for any of it. And Sandra says, you know what? That's just a little fishy. Sandra's on to Kate now.
Kate attacking Phaedra made me uncomfortable, rang alarm bells for me. It just doesn't add up. And all I'm thinking is, could she be a traitor?
Kate didn't do herself any favors. And that's how the episode ends. They do not show Kate going to the turret. So I guess that's how the next episode will open. It was a good one. It would have been a great one if they would have gotten rid of Trishelle. But it was a good episode. It was like, okay, nothing overly exciting. But I am eager to see with the next episode how it's going to go down. How does this all work when there's just one person left? I know nothing. So I am kind of excited to see what happens next week. All right, tune in, come back, and we'll talk about it next week again. Take care. Thanks for watching my channel. Take the moment to subscribe and like, comment, even if you just say, hi, Jenny. It all helps my algorithm so that people who are interested in Traitors will get a chance to see this as well. And I appreciate you if you do that. I really do. Thanks so much. See you next week. Bye-bye.